Peace, YouTube. It's your man Just You Real coming to you live. And this video right here, we're talking about consciousness. What is consciousness? And this will be my last video that I will be making. Okay? So from here on out, I will not be uploading any more videos. Alright? Okay, so let's get into what consciousness is. Do we live after death? After this physical life we live ceases to exist, do we continue to live? I'm gonna answer.
I'm seeing love. She in her own mind may believe I'm not wrong. Love is bigger than me. I'm just whoever I am. No, that's in her head. She's only a dream character in my perception. She could be God for all I know. We don't know who anybody is, so why can't she be God? We don't know where God is, when God is, how God is, so why she can't be God? This woman right here, I choose with my perception to see her as God. This is an ancient African technique. God was never outside of your perception. God was never outside of what you thought. That's why Western man came and said, there is no God, they're just making it up. Right. But God is the greatest human invention in human history.
You hear what he just said? This goes right back to my videos, what I said. Who came with the concept and idea of God? Black people.
And the reason being, the reason Africans created God is so that humanity in its infinity would never run out of something to rise to. This is why God exists. If you don't have God, you don't rise. There is nothing human about technology. Sorry. Nothing human about it. And this is what I want to say in terms of your spirit. What can you see? This is God to me. And I respect her and will treat her just like that.
Now let's pause. Let's look up consciousness. Consciousness is a state or quality or sentience or awareness of internal or external existence. Okay? And it says it has been defined variously in terms of qualia, subjectivity, the ability to experience or to feel wakefulness, having a sense of selfhood or soul. All right, let me do something real quick. We're gonna let science answer the question. Do we? So when we die, do we continue to exist? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let's keep on going. Second.
What voice is that? Rockstar energy drink. Those who want to do the exercise, we're going to say rockstar to ourselves without opening our mouths, without saying anything outside. We're going to say this to ourselves. We're going to say rockstar to ourselves. Don't say it out loud at the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now the question to ask, if you said rock star in your mind, the question to ask is, what voice is that?
So, pretty much in essence, we are inside of the mind of God. If you can understand that, it's like it's a dream world.
your mouth at all. On top of that, you on top of saying rock star.
So all these religions don't mean a damn thing.
You've heard yourself say rock star. How can you hear yourself say rock star and no vibration of sound has happened? See, this puts a different perspective on what sound actually is. And what memory is. Memory's not in the brain. Memory's in the soul. The only thing you take with you after this life is your memories or your knowledge, your experiences.
You're here to learn. That's what this is all about. You come here to learn. You're here to learn.
That's the only thing you take. Unless you study Egypt culture, they believe you can take all this stuff with you on the other side. Just as a side note. But if you said rock star in your mind or in your being is the true answer, is the true statement. In your being, what was that voice? What was the voice that spoke and then you heard yourself speaking? But these ears did not hear you say anything because your mouth didn't move. So the ears didn't hear it, the mouth did not move, but you spoke and you heard yourself speaking. If you close your eyes, you can see this better. If you close your eyes and put this image in another sight, if you close your eyes, you can still see this. What is the sight that can see your future? These two eyes don't see the future. These two eyes don't see the past. Yet, you can see your past and you can see your future. You can actually see your past.
It's thought. Thought. You cannot stop thinking. Even when you go to sleep, you're constantly thinking. You're thinking 24/7.
What is the sight that can see beyond time?
Okay, so let's go here.
I was able to go to school for free, buy my house.
1 second.
When we die, it's a question that humanity... So what happens when we die? It's a question that humanity has wrestled with throughout history. But a new study conducted by NYU may have found some answers. Dr. Sam Parnia is the Director of Critical Care and Resuscitation Research at NYU Langone School of Medicine, where he ran this study. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Parnia.
Pleasure. Thank you
So,
for having me.
what would you say, what actually happens when you're clinically dead?
You know, when people die, essentially it's when the heart stops. So this has been going on for as far as we know, millennia or longer. And when the heart stops, you stop breathing and your brain shuts down. And that's how we declare people dead. That's what we give a time of death and we give them a note. And really, to be honest with you, until about 50 years ago, that was the point of death. So people become lifeless, motionless, the brain shuts down. But now through advances in medicine, we can actually bring people back to life, even after they've gone beyond that threshold of death, and study what happens to them. And one of the
Now,
interesting
we just
things...
looked up what the word consciousness is. What is the definition of consciousness? Consciousness is, it's the state of being aware. Right? Let's go to the dictionary. So you are aware after you have been declared physically dead. So the people who have died in your family are still aware. You just can't see them, but they are aware. Okay? Look up what these words mean. It's awareness. Okay? Let's keep on going.
Of course, is that the brain completely shuts down, as I said. But what's fascinating is that the cells inside the body, particularly the cells inside the brain, do not suddenly become annihilated. They go through a process of decay that can take a few hours, which is why we can actually medically bring people back to life after they have technically gone beyond that threshold of death for tens of minutes, if not hours of time afterwards. And that, of course, raises many interesting questions about what happens when we die.
So tell me more about this study. How did you conduct it? And tell me about, how you came about reaching your findings, your conclusion.
No, I'm an intensive care doctor, so my job is to essentially save people's lives and prevent them from dying. But unfortunately, people do die, and we try to revive them. What we have found is that over the last few decades, many millions of people have now come back, and many of them have reported, actually, anecdotally, that they've been able to see and hear things going on, even though from our perspective, they should have been dead, and their brain should not be functioning at all. And so we became intrigued to study this, one, because it was fascinating, and two, because we tried to revive people without brain damage and to ensure they don't have any disorders of consciousness, so not becoming like brain damaged or having a vegetative state. At any rate, so this particular study is the largest study ever carried out in the world. It was done at 15 medical centers across the US and in Europe, and we studied more than 2,000 people who've gone through this cardiac arrest or process of death. And we did not expect people to have any consciousness or awareness, but intriguingly, up to 40% of people came back and had a perception of being aware of what was happening to them, even though they had technically gone beyond the threshold of death.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a lot to it. I should also add that among that group, 10% had a very deep, profound mystical experience that was very true to them. But interestingly, 2% actually had full awareness, could describe all the events that were going on that were validated. So of course the question is, why does that happen? And we don't have the answers, because to our scientific model, when people have died, there should be no more conscious awareness going on. But it sounds like maybe consciousness is able to continue, and by that I don't mean that they're awake, but that entity that makes us who we are, makes Sam who he is, makes Rena who she is, the self, the mind, seems to continue and doesn't become annihilated after a person has gone through their process of death.
Were there any of the people that you studied that completely lost all consciousness?
See that? So, that's the answer right there. You continue to exist. In terms of what you're going to be doing after you pass away, no one knows. No one, to be honest, and people in my family of that, no one has come back and said this is what the afterlife is like. No one. None of them. Let me pull up one more for you, and that's going to be it. Like I said, after this video, I will not be uploading any more videos. I'm finished.
Alright, welcome back. It's been a while since I did a video. Today we're gonna revisit the Adam and Eve story in Genesis. I did a breakdown of Adam and Eve as it related to the cells in your body, how Adam was your atom and it's split evenly. You can check that video out. This one we're gonna center around the story itself and what it means to die and to become holy. Alright? So what you gotta understand, if you're new to this, to my channel, you gotta watch all the videos, but everything is mostly a play on words. So what I want to stress to you today is you do not die as we think of. We die a physical death, but we don't die. We have no beginning and no end. Alright? So you're going to learn today that certain words, they either add or take away a letter. I wrote some down here as some examples. Some of the easier ones is how they just added a D to the word evil and gave you a personification of evil, which is now the devil. They took an O from good and they personified good by calling it God. Alright? Another one is heaven. All they did was add an E. It's really a safe place, which is a haven. Daddy is the one I want to talk about because I told you, if you watch any of my videos, most of these allegories always have the father dead. Or the father's in heaven, like Superman, he has a father in heaven, and then when on earth, Spider-Man was raised by his aunt and uncle, and not his regular parents. Batman, his parents got killed. It's usually the daddy. In any karate movie, it begins with the daddy being killed, and the son has to avenge his death. So the same thing with the widow's son, or Mason called it widow's son. What's happening is daddy, all they did was, instead of saying daddy or he's my...
Now remember, these are allegories. None of this stuff happened. And to prove it, it didn't happen, When you go to the book of Second, what is that? Paul said these are allegories. Paul tells you clear as day in the New Testament that these are allegories. The story, it's all allegories. All these stories that we read about in these books are allegories. You know what an allegory means? Look it up. So you have Galatians 4, chapter 4, verse 21 to 31. All right? And it says right here, Galatians, the allegory of Hagar and Sarah. So these are stories that people are taking literal. Okay? Galatians 4:26. It says which things are an allegory. For these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai, which endeth the bondage, which is Hagar. So these are stories. So let's go back. Dad, what happens is he's dead. The word dad, the dad E, they put the E at the E sound at the end to make up the word D-E-A-D. The reason I'm bringing that up is basically, allegorically, when a father ejaculates, he dies because what's inside your sperm is called solar phallic energy. Solar as in the soul or the sun, and phallic as in the penis. So what happens is there's energy, and it's said to drain you. Your essence is leaving your body to create another compact version of yourself. So technically, the father dies every time he makes children or ejaculates sperm. So that's what this play on words is. So which brings me to today's lecture is about dying. All I did was add the letter E to the Greek word die, or prefix, or whatever you want to call it. The prefix die in Greek means two. Literally, it means two, but technically, it means split. As in when two people split, it's called a divorce. When you have two dice, they're called dice. So one of the two dice is called die. When you have division, means split vision. So when you divide something, you split the vision of it. Diversity, you have split or many. It's not when you say, oh, we have a diverse culture. You don't mean two different cultures. You mean more than two. Two or more is what it means. So it means to split. Just like the word several. It has the word seven in it because it implies seven. When someone says, I have several keys or several cars or several this, they may mean seven, but it can mean anything. It can be seven or more. So several just mean more than a few. All right? So to bring you back to the word die, so when you go to the Genesis story, it says, when God tells Adam or Eve, however the story goes, you can read it, if you eat from the apple, you will surely die. What they're talking about, you're going to split in two. What happens is your higher self splits from your lower self. Some of your energy or some of your soul gets trapped down here in the body, while the rest of it stays high, where you have to reunite with it. So your whole journey down here is another word they trick you with, is being holy. All that the word holy is the word whole. All they did was took the silent letter W off of there, made this a long E. They just changed the E into a Y. That's it. The word whole. So you split in two, or split, period, because there are many versions of you. It's not just two versions. So that's another lecture too. It's a different version of you on different planets and so on and so forth. But just for the point of this is just know you split. So what you have is, and just to bring you to some of the Masonic stuff, in Egypt, which in Greek is called East, but really it's Kemet. So in Kemet or Egypt, it was the word for soul is similar to the word for ram, R-A-M. So the word for soul and ram is similar. So what they would do in some of these allegories is use the word ram or lamb, like Jesus is the sacrificial lamb, or the Aryan or Aries. They would use a ram. So in Masonic lore, they have Hiram.
Hiram is a high realm. He's your higher soul that's been knocked in the head and that's asleep in a shallow grave or dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much, because sleep is the cousin of death. So he's not really dead. He's in a shallow grave ready to be resurrected. Same as Jesus. Jesus died in Golgotha. Golgotha is basically the base of your skull. It's your medulla oblongata. So I mentioned your brain stem. Because after your 33rd vertebrae, remember Jesus died at 33, you have your brain stem. So the medulla oblongata, or Golgotha, or Calvary is right here. So what you're trying to do is raise it up from the base of your spine, and don't let it stop here. You got to bring it to the front of your forehead, to your pineal gland. So that's what that story is about. All right. So the apple that's being eaten, whenever you say apple in any story, is basically meaning pentagram. Penta means 5-letter or 5 lines. So gram means word, 5-letter word, so on and so forth. So what happens is they use this symbolism because when you cut an apple in half, you'll see. Well, some of the old apples right now it's kind of funny with how they plant the fruit. But usually when you cut an apple in half, you'll see 5 seeds. So this became to symbolize. I'm gonna post this guy's video in my description box. I've used him before in one of my lessons. In some of these allegories, as the pentagram, or when you incarnate. So when you get the word pentagram, pent means 5. So you have arm, leg, arm, head. So we're based on the 5 or the 5 PHI system. So when you repent means reincarnation. You're basically repentant again. You're getting your 5 limbs again. So whenever they say you repent for your sin, you really repented for your skin. The whole story is really you fell into skin, not sin. All right. So your skin is your sin. Also in Latin, the word malum with a long A, malum, and malum with a long A is apple. Malum with a short A is evil. So that's how you get the evil apple. You can also see this apple thing in either Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. I believe it's Snow White, about the poisonous apple. So you're going to see this theme through fairy tales. I want to bring up fairy tales because the Brothers Grimm is a very popular set of stories. They pretty much, most of all the fairy tales come from the Brothers Grimm. The word Grimm, I told you, is the same as the word glamour, as in True Blood. Glamour, grammar, grim, grimoire, and all that stuff. All means word. It's the same word. So look up etymology. So if you're not familiar with my videos, you need to watch them all and and you can backtrack on some of the stuff I'm talking about. I already talked about Grim and the Grim Reaper, the Reaper of the Word. You are the Word made flesh. You became a penta or a flesh. You reincarnated by repenting. You're gonna keep repeating this process. All right. So also says you split. So another word they use down here is peace. P-E-A-C-E is the same as P-I-E-C-E. So the peace sign is this. This is the split fingers. Your fingers are split or in 2. So when somebody's telling you to rest in peace, they're pretty much programming you again. So when you keep telling them, oh, rest in peace, you're basically telling that person to reincarnate again. All right? So what happens is, so I'm going to get you to light. So just give you some understanding about the geometry and the G and the Masonic symbol. So light, when you shine it through a prism, you may have did this in science, some one of your science classes in grammar school or high school. Whenever you shine light through a prism, it slows down and splits into usually 7 colors that you can see with the visible eye. Anywhere between the 7 colors from red to violet. So anything other than that you can't see with the naked eye is infrared, which is below red, or ultraviolet, which is above violet. So that's why you always have 7 fairies or 7 godmothers, which represent the 7 chakras in Sleeping Beauty, because your soul has slept. It's not dead. Sleep is the cousin of death. It's not dead, but it appears to be dead, or like Hiram in a shallow grave, or like Jesus buried, but he will be resurrected. It's slowed down, because when you slow down light, or your soul goes into a prism, another word for prism is prison. So you your light, when you put your light in a prism or a prison cell.
So we are light. We are beings made of light. It's in the damn Bible. It said God is light.
The cells in your body are prisons. There's light in atoms. So when you shine light through these cells, it slows down, and you got what we got here is bodies, dense matter. So it slows down, it becomes dense. So that's what happens. Is light becomes sound, sound becomes shape or geometry. So in the Bible, when they talk about El, I told you this doesn't mean God. The Canaanites consider El to be God, but you really translate that word as light or power. So El goes through a prism or through your cells and becomes Elohim. When you go look at the word, let us make man in the Bible, us is translated from this word Elohim. It'll tell you it's translated from the gods and goddesses. Some of them, if you study more, it'll tell you it's 7 gods and goddesses that created the body or Adam. So Adam becomes a shape. Adam means male and female, remember? So that's all this is. It's the same thing. El or light becomes the Elohim or sound. So when you slow down, when light is shine, it becomes sound. And sound slows down more, it becomes shape. Every sound has a shape. So that's the secret to geometry. It's another, I can break down geometry more for Masonic and sacred geometry when it comes to the different shapes and geometry of these different planets. But that's another lecture. I just want to show you that that's what the seventh Elohim is all about. That's why you have the 7 dwarfs. Snow White is really your soul. White is synonymous with light. Black is synonymous with darkness. White, light is basically representative of the soul. Black or darkness is representative of the body. Has nothing to do with white and black as Caucasian, African American, or whatever you want to call yourself. Alright? So these fairy tales are about your body. Snow White is all about, and the 7 dwarfs is about how you was one light, and then you dwarfed into these 7 low. You dwarfed or diverted your light into these 7 little dwarfs. Alright? And you had to do work, because you read the fairy tale, it all makes sense to you. That's what the poison apple. So the same poison apple that's in Snow White is the same thing that's in the Genesis story, Adam and Eve story. It's all about incarnation, or it's representative of human ignorance. So the apple is pretty much the womb or this matrix that we're in. So it symbolizes, the apple itself symbolizes the womb, and that pentagram symbolizes what comes out of that womb, which is the physical body, male or female. Another fairy tale that's part of the Brothers Grimm stories is Rip Van Winkle. Rip, rest in peace. So we're talking about that peace sign again. What happened if you remember, Rip Van Winkle was lazy. He didn't want to do any work, and he ended up going up this hill. Hill or mountain is always synonymous of going up to your head. And if he was lazy, if you bring this energy up to your head and don't do the work, it dies right here in Golgotha or higher in the shallow grave. Your goal is to bring it up here. That's why you get Ash Wednesday and all that stuff, or the red dot on your forehead if you're Indian. It's all about, you have to bring that fire or that energy up to your pineal gland. If you don't, you just pretty much, fire burns out and the residue is ashes. So what happens with Rip Van Winkle is, this is a story about reincarnation. Laziness, or if you don't do the work to raise your Kundalini energy, you reincarnate. So what happened when he came back down the hill? No one recognized him. Why? Because he was in another body. Technically, the story is him being so old nobody recognized him, but we got to read between the lines. Because now his son has the same name and the same disease as being lazy. So he has basically reincarnated into his son and became the same person. And if he don't learn his lessons, he's doomed to repeat. Not that incarnating is a bad thing. When you start getting into this and going through your dreams, because that's what you learn. That's the closest thing you can get to death. Learn how to live in your dreams, and you'll be ready for when you finally pass out of your body for good. And you can choose to you become a master reincarnator. I just wanted to show you that they just play on words. They have people around here, oh, you're so holy. They don't even know what holy means. Or it's a holy day or a holiday. They don't know what that means. It's a chance for you to become whole again. Your soul, your realm has split. Like most Masons think Hiram is a real person. You know, like I told you, all these are play on words. 2-ball cane is the password you get when you get to the 3rd degree. 2-ball and your cane on your penis. 2 balls in your penis. That's all this stuff. These are all puns. All these allegories are reduced to puns and play on words. Most words mean the same thing. Peace and peace. All this time you're talking about cells in your body. Those are prisons. You got light. That's how they make the atomic bomb. They study how a cell or atom is, and they extracted the light and all that other stuff in it. It's light inside every cell, but it's so dense, so it slows down. Another thing is about portals. You have many portals on your body besides the big ones. But that's what your pores are. Pores are portals. So once you start to learn how to travel out your body and enter in your body from different spots and through your dreams, that's a whole nother lecture. That's a little bit deeper. I just want to break all that down. I hope that makes sense. I always like to recap. The point of this lecture is to give you another view of what Adam and Eve means, and so you'll know that you don't die. You are the Alpha and the Omega. Your body may pass on, but your soul has been here before your body. You have no beginning, no end. Just like Melchizedek is not born of a woman. Look at the Bible, Jesus comes in the line of Melchizedek. So look up Melchizedek and so on and so forth. So these are different little orders that will teach you about this. No beginning, no end. Just play on words. D-I without the E. Holy without the W. Your whole thing is that you split when you came into skin, and now you're trying to become whole again unless you choose to repent or reincarnate. I hope this helps. Just at the end, FYI, I see I got more subscribers.
Okay. So, let's hear it one more time from science. Go back.
I was able to go to school for free.
A fascinating new scientific study reveals that human consciousness may continue even after death, at least for a short time. This study, the largest of its kind, concluded that over 2,000 people who suffered cardiac arrest and were clinically dead but were successfully resuscitated later, 40% of those who survived were aware that they were dead or dying before their hearts were restarted by medical staff. So to discuss this a little further, we're being joined now by the lead researcher, Dr. Sam Parnia, Director of Critical Care and Resuscitation Research at New York's NYU Langone School of Medicine. Doctor, thank you for being with us today. So we typically associate the time of death with when people lose their heartbeat, the heart stops working. Does this research then imply that we might have to kind of rethink how we currently view time of death?
Well, I think it's important to understand what death is. Death occurs when the heart stops beating. There's no doubt about that. And because when the heart stops beating, a person has no blood flow and they stop breathing immediately and their brain shuts down, it stops functioning. That's why people lose consciousness, they become lifeless, motionless, and what we describe as...
Once again, what is consciousness? Consciousness is another word for being aware, being awake. Conscious, aware of, and responding to one's surroundings, awake, having knowledge of something, aware.
...is being dead. However, what's important to understand is that although we used to think of death as being an absolute moment, and that is the moment that's used to give people a death note, a time of death, however, it's actually only after a person has died that the cells inside the body start to undergo their own process of death, and that can take many hours. And that is why, even though people have died, there's no doubt that they have died, but it is possible to try to resuscitate them back to life again for quite some time, tens of minutes or maybe hours of time after they have met the biological criteria for death.
Wow. Well, the studies show that there's a sudden burst, right, of brain activity when the body dies, which leads scientists to conclude the person on some level knows that they've died before their brain actually shuts down. You've actually said that the evidence suggests that in the first few minutes after death, consciousness is not annihilated. So what does this imply for the nature of human consciousness itself?
Yeah, I mean, so this is a very difficult question to answer in such a short period of time, but I think if I may, I need to just go back a step to our own study. I don't think it was quite described correctly. So we carried out a study of more than 2,000 people who had met the criteria for death. They had a cardiac arrest and they were able to be resuscitated back to life.
Okay.
Unfortunately, most of those people are not successfully resuscitated. They don't come back because they're so ill. However, among those who did survive, 40% had a perception of having had awareness, but they couldn't have any recollections. They just thought they had been aware. But interestingly, 10% had very vivid, mystical, religious, transformative experiences from their period of death. And then 2.5% of the survivors had full visual and auditory awareness. They were able to describe events that were going on in the room, even though from our perspective they were dead. And interestingly, one case was verified to have been conscious for at least up to 3 to 5 minutes after their determination of death. So that is really fascinating, and what it seems to tell us is that the human mind and consciousness, that thing that makes us who we are, our self, does not become annihilated when we've gone beyond the biological threshold of death. How long it continues for, of course, we don't know.
That's it. So with that being said, I want to thank all my subscribers for subscribing to my channel, watching my videos, engaging in dialogue, discussing these things, and, you know, it's up to you for you to continue to do your own research. Like I kept saying in my videos, don't believe a word I say, don't believe nothing I say, do your own damn research. Like I said, today is my last day making videos. Alright? Till then, say peace.